guys mentioned a bunch of times today in the press stuff that there was this research trip that went to Scandinavia and Iceland. How do you know you're going to get everything you want? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we got to make sure we go to this forest. We got to make sure we do this.
We had loose ideas of general types of, we knew we had a town, quintessential town. We knew we had forests. We knew we had kind of some more rock outcroppings. And the reason I say that like that is in the first movie there was Troll Valley, and in fact there are locations that are named like that in Norway. So we knew we had to go because we had to see what this was all about. And it was interesting because they have on-land glaciers that calve, and you can hear them, and you understand where all the legends and the myths of the trolls and whatnot going on because of the sounds. They're very eerie, they're very mysterious, you don't know where they're coming from, they rumble through the landscape. So not only when you go over there, you are collecting photo reference, and I don't think there was a rock unturned, but you're also listening, you're smelling it, you're looking at the air, you're looking at the quality of the light. Everything you experience you bring back with you.
And then I have to imagine that, like, in the modern age, if you're like, oh no, we need to know, for instance, I think you were talking much about different plants that exist in Scandinavia. You probably know a whole bunch about plants now that you maybe didn't.
A lot more.
That you maybe didn't before.
It's a hobby, but now I know more about another area, yeah.
What is the research library like here, or how did you, I know that you guys mentioned you consulted botanists.
We did. You know, obviously we have a really extensive research library, but it's also built on all the movies that we've made up to this point. So this was sort of new for us, and we really needed an expert to come in and tell us not only what was growing, but what changed color at what time of year, because we had a specific palette that we had to adhere to, and shape language that we had to adhere to. So we were really looking for certain plants that hit those aesthetic notes. So it was kind of digging through everything that we got from her, and picked and choose the things that would support what we needed.
Was this movie always set in fall?
As far as I know, yeah.
It seems like that was a fortunate choice for you guys with, like, gale, and you can blow leaves around versus blowing, like, green plants around, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and we had also talked about additional things other than leaves. Gale, you know, had many different story iterations, and at one point we talked about using little pieces of fluff and seeds and all kinds of different things, and leaves was the most communicative to an audience, and I think we settled on that because once you develop that language and the audience knows what that means and that is a character, to break it along the way with something else just confuses your audience.
It's been 6 years since the last Frozen movie came out. What sort of technology advancements really helped you guys make this one specifically? Or were like, gosh, everyone watches things in motion smoothing now, or like 4K, we have to account for those kind of things?
All of those things come up, I think, in different degrees. And in my neck of the woods, working with the costumes, we are using a program now that's called Marvelous Designer that helps us tailor clothing on CG models, and we didn't have that on the first movie, and so that helped us sort of get to an iterative point much faster. And then we also had the technology and look to be able to add beadwork on top of embroidery, which was something that we couldn't do before. So when we knew that we had those tools at our disposal, we went nuts to try to make sure that we use it as much as possible and sort of make everything as beautiful as it can possibly be.
Yeah, for me, the tree islands were one. We thought it was Christmas when we were able to put different hues within the leaves of the trees. That was like, woo, for us, that was great. Hyperion is a lighting thing, and I work all the way through the film and work on color scripts and with the lighters. And that was a learning curve, I think, in a way, because you have to respect natural light now. You can't just sculpt it any way you want. You have to understand that light is going to hit something, it's going to bounce around, it's going to reflect and refract certain ways, and that is something, it's mathematical. So you have to work within that, and then if you want to sculpt from there, you have to composite on top of that.
You mentioned the clothing, and you mentioned in the little presentation earlier that Elsa makes her clothes of ice, or she has the capacity to. I don't know if she always does.
I think since, I mean, our kind of in-house rules since Let It Go is that we have some amount or some level of the clothing that she wears is made out of ice, and it may or may not be every bit of fabric. We absolutely use real fabrics as our references and our performance points. So sometimes she's in something that looks like velvet, or sometimes she's in something that is more silky and gossamer, but we're able to add sparkle, and our sparkle is always sort of described by it basically being ice.
That makes more sense than like the ice leggings.
Yeah. There's some element of it. With her boots, that was something that we had to really talk about and really consider, because you know, if you're wearing a leather boot, it's going to move around your leg in a certain way, but if we try to build it out of ice, it's going to be restrictive. And so we settled with the body of her boot being made, I think, out of suede, but being embellished with ice, with a full ice heel, and that's the.
I always love the sound effect when she drops her shoes down on the rock, her boots on the rock. Yeah, it sounds like ice.
I believe in you, Elsa, more than anyone or anything.